And we are back with Bad Boy Radio. I got to tell you, really, that was good timing with the song, because we got into a really weird area with that topic where I didn't know how to segue out of it.
I mean, the best segue is, hey, look over there.
Yeah,
and then run. That's basically what I did.
That was a good ejector seat right there. Anyway, this is Bad Boy Radio. You can find us on Twitter at Bad Boy Radio, or you can email us at badboyradiony@gmail.com.
Gmail's good.
Gmail's good?
G stands for good.
Good.
Yeah, good mail.
Mm-hmm. So what else is you were mentioning something about University of Southern California. What's going on at USC?
Yeah, USC, the Trojans.
God, this is a very sexually themed show tonight.
One time in high school, someone got in trouble for wearing a USC Trojans shirt because the principal didn't realize it's a Trojan horse. He thought it was Trojan condoms.
Where's his mind at?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to smash.
Weird principal.
This is from the Associated Press.
Oh, they're reliable.
Steve Sarkisian sued the University of Southern California on Monday, alleging the school breached the football coach's contract and discriminated against him on the basis of a disability, namely alcoholism, when it fired him this fall.
So they fired him because he was an alcoholic, is what you're saying?
They fired him because he became an unreliable employee.
So he could have been a functional drunk and they wouldn't have fired him, is what they're saying.
I bet.
Okay.
I bet.
Hey, it's college. You're allowed to party.
Well, if he was a functional alcoholic, we wouldn't have ever heard of any rumors of his alcoholism.
That's probably true.
It would have just been swept under the rug. The AD, the players, nobody would have said anything. And maybe in 20 years, when one of these guys puts out a book, they're like, oh, by the way, Sarkisian,
he
drunk.
He totally chug a fifth of vodka.
Dude, you should have seen him at the frat party.
He drank like a champion that day.
Beer bong.
So there was if I recall correctly, there was a pep rally or some sort of function. He was there rallying the troops, and he cursed out what was it, UCLA or one of the other rival schools in the Pac-12, however many schools there are there, and he was a bit drunk. He was we're USC, their opponents kind of suck, and he had to apologize for that, I believe.
Yeah. So now he's saying that he finished an inpatient 30-day treatment detox program. He stopped taking medications prescribed by a doctor, and he's sleeping well for the first time in over 20 years, he says now. But
get that sleep. Maybe he probably also got some sleep from not coaching. I mean, that's a pretty stressful job.
Yeah, that's all from what happened after he got fired. But now he's coming back and claiming alcoholism is a disease.
Do you think it's a disease? I mean, I've heard people who drink and they say it's not it's people who don't have the problem don't understand it. But anyone who's ever explained it to me says it's not about wanting to do it per se, so much as when you have a drink, you have this compulsion to have another and then to keep having them, and you just can't stop it. So in that sense, I could say, okay, yeah, it's a disease.
I don't know anybody. I've never been an alcoholic. I don't know any alcoholics. The closest thing I can tell you is that Craig Ferguson's book, he described the first time he experienced alcoholism, where he started getting sick. He started getting dizzy in the back of someone's car, and he just jumped out and right away went to get a drink to calm his nerves. And that's when he realized, oh man, I'm an alcoholic. And I think it's a thing that you do to yourself. You obviously, when you're sober, you have to have a drink, and then you have another drink, and this all builds up. I don't know how long it takes you to become an alcoholic, but it starts
because I think there are different types of alcoholics.
Like what?
Well, there are people who use alcohol as a crutch to either deal with social situations or the stress that's going on in their lives. Then there's just the people who they like drinking, but they can't control their drinking. You know, they like that feeling, but then they just want that feeling too often.
Okay.
Or there's someone who just needs it to escape because they're not strong enough to deal with the pressures of life.
What is Sarkeesian then? Would
Oh,
you,
I wouldn't know. I don't know the man.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would you guess? I guess it
I would
doesn't
probably
matter.
I guess. Well, yeah. Why does it matter? The fact is, he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But so he's suing the school. Maybe they also. I mean, here's the thing: if he was good at his job, they wouldn't have fired him.
Oh, shots fired right there.
Yeah, big time. Like, if he was good at his job, they would have just put him in rehab and said, "Yeah, you know, we're gonna support him. He's fine, even though he's a raging alcoholic." Because you don't fire good coaches. But the fact is, he sucked at USC. He wasn't that great at Washington, and he just became a pain in the ass to the athletic director. So at that point, it was just like, yeah, hit the road, bozo.
The NIAAA defines an alcohol use disorder, or AUD, as a diagnosable medical condition in which an individual's alcohol consumption causes harm or distress. The AUD most are familiar with is alcoholism. Symptoms include physical craving or urge to drink, dependence that includes withdrawal symptoms when drinking is stopped, increased tolerance levels in which more alcohol is required to obtain the same effects, and inability to control or stop drinking once started. Like, okay. Have you suffered from depression?
Yeah, at some point in my life. I mean, who hasn't?
I think everyone has. But I think people who go to the other side of it and get out of it realize that it was a choice, first and foremost. It's always a choice to bring your mood down, to bring your morale down.
To take a drink. There's no alcoholic will ever convince me that the first drink they take when you're sober, that is not a choice. The second drink, you may not be a choice because then you have the compulsion. But the first drink that you take, that is your choice.
Right. And as a person who's never been a big drinker or a smoker or a drug user, if we're looping those in, I can't sympathize with it. And maybe I need to go to an AA meeting to see what people are dealing with. But to me, it's a disease, but it's a self-inflicted disease. People, you can't make yourself get cancer. You can't make yourself
right.
Get.
It might have a genetic thing to it, but in the same sense, you choose to enable the disease.
Same thing, same thing as like heart disease
or gambling.
Gambling.
Like you drove to a casino. You called up the bookie. You just chose to play the slot. There is a level of complicity that goes into it.
Right.
Unlike what you're saying with heart disease or cancer or anything of that ilk, because I don't think people are like, well, hey, I want cancer, or hey, let me go do whatever, and because I'll get cancer.
Yeah, I said heart disease. I meant more like obesity. And obviously heart disease will come with that. Like people who are obese or fat will go online and say, hey, stop fat shaming. Stop.
Oh, that's gonna be another one of our shows, because I have a big problem with fat shaming and people who then get uppity about, because they're the same people who turn around and thin shame, who shame people for being in shape, and that's BS.
Right, and so maybe your obesity, your overeating is an eating disorder. It's a disease at that point, but there's still a choice. Like everybody in the world, in the United States, when they are born to when they become, let's say, around our age, their whole life even, they have the choice to be physically fit. I'd say 99% of people. Obviously, there's sick people, disabled people.
You can control your weight.
Right. You can control it. So then when I see, fat, out of shape, just round people, saying, "Oh, you know, you gotta love me for what I am. You can't say I'm fat because that's discriminatory." It's not. It's just a fact of
the
life.
nature of humanity. The nature of humanity is discriminatory. But anyway,
Right,
let's
right,
go.
right.
Let's go back to Sarkeesian.
Right. So I say,
Do you think this is right that he's suing the school?
no, I can't say that I do, and I'm probably wrong, but I just can't
Well, let
sympathize.
me ask you: do you think that at your job you could be, if you had a drinking problem, do you think your job can fire you?
Yeah.
I think so too. I think if your behavior becomes disruptive to a work environment, then get the hell out.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially.
do you want to work with the girl who just can't control her liquor, and like, you know, the old saying, it's like, oh, the girl who loves to party is great to be with until she pukes on your shoes.
I've never heard that saying, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Do you want to deal with do you want to be the one that has to clean up the mess of Steve Sarkeesian, like being a pain in the butt, like at USC?
Right.
Do you want to have to deal with him not showing up to practice?
You need both a literal and figurative cleaner for Steve Sarkeesian.
Pretty much.
And I guess anyone else in this boat. So yeah,
I mean, when he yells at his players like, "You guys better shape up, or I'm going to drop a deuce on this field," he might literally drop that deuce on the field.
I'd like to think that he wouldn't.
You guys are so awful. You make me want to puke. No, that's the Drambuie.
He's just drinking Drambuie.
Yeah, why
That's
not?
his drink of choice.
Who knows?
That's what
if
got
he's
him.
an alcoholic, he might be drinking a whole lot of it. A whole lot of things.
Antifreeze.
I don't know about antifreeze, but oh, you mean he's spending the time to make antifreeze?
I mean drinking it.
Oh, I thought he was
Sipping
making the mixed drink. You know, like all the vodka, the curacao, all that other kind of stuff.
Is that a drink?
It is. It's
I
there's a
didn't-
drink
I didn't
called,
know.
There's a drink called that.
No,
I thought
I-
he was like mixing. He's like, wait, hold on, guys. I gotta mix my drinks before I go out there.
No, I meant the auto product, antifreeze.
Armatic blue curacao. Is anyone like Leroy? Can you go get some for me? Run to the store. Here's $20.
I can't sympathize with alcoholism, and like I said, I'm probably wrong. But if you have a drinking problem and you can't perform your job,
You should be fired.
yeah,
No more making excuses for people. This is crap. It's like, yeah, okay, you have a problem, but should we hold up the rest of society for your problems? That's selfish.
yeah,
There is a certain level of meritocracy to our society, and if you're not capable of doing your job, then you shouldn't have your job.
yeah.
And you shouldn't act like a big baby about it afterwards and try to like, I want it back, or I want some money. It's like, no, you blew it. Pick yourself up, start over. America loves the redemption story. But when you act like a big baby about it, nobody likes you. Nobody wants a whiner.
Yeah.
He's a whiner. He's a baby. Get him a pacifier.
The lawsuit says Sarkeesian had no more issues with alcohol until a 17-12 upset loss on October 8th to Washington.
Oh, so Washington drove him to drink. That's good.
Sarkeesian's depression and anxiety worsened, and his consumption of alcohol when he was not working increased, the lawsuit states. That
Well, then
weekend...
Then he shouldn't be able to coach football anymore if he can't handle a loss.
That weekend,
It's even
however,
worse.
Sarkeesian began to finally come to grips with the fact that he had a problem with alcohol, needed serious help, and needed it now. Sarkeesian arrived at the school on October 11th, feeling the effects of drinking heavily and sleeping poorly. The coach claims he wasn't drunk in a morning team meeting, but a combination of drinking and sleep deprivation and prescription medicine
Oh, that's worse than he's drinking and doing pills.
made him not appear to be normal.
All right, I'm done with Steve Sarkeesian.
Yeah.
This story is very good. Let's move on to the next story because I'm bored with this guy at this point.